Hey, what's up, y'all? Welcome back to the channel. Thank you for supporting me. Thank you for coming on the ride. As you guys saw, this is the wheel that I've been building over the last few days for about 8 hours. I will say I've learned a lot doing this. DIY builds are being the first one I've ever done. Nothing short of amazing, but definitely a learning experience. So before I get into all that, I want to say thank you all for being members or being subscribers. I appreciate each and every one of you. To those who've become a member, thank you. You didn't have to. I appreciate you all. We had a new one join, my guy Neil. He's literally become like a brother, and it's somebody I met through sim racing, but like we chat, we communicate. He's always supportive. And that's the kind of guys that I really think are great in the sim racing scene. Yeah, you have some clowns at times, but all of you have been great. So Norman, Mr. Anderson, my guy Matt, Neil, and Todd, thank you very much for becoming members and joining me and becoming one of Gray's Racers, as I like to call them. You didn't have to, so I appreciate it. With that being said, thanks to my sponsor Matt as well, who's also a member. For everything you do. Like, this build wouldn't be possible without some of your expertise, your skill, your know-how, and just your sponsorship. So thank you for that. With that being said, I am totally in love with this wheel. I'm about to show you guys right now. So we set off an adventure to build our own wheel. I love prototype cars. I wanted a prototype wheel, but as you know, they are very expensive. You have the likes of so many out there. They're costing, $1,400, $1,500, $1,600 respectively. And not that I'm not willing to spend that money, because clearly I am, with a payment plan. But sometimes you just want to, where can I find something that's affordable? And here comes Pokornyi. I was watching a video by Dan Suzuka when he put together the rally box for a wheel rim. And then I was like, well, wait a minute, that looks cool. So I went on their website and then saw this. And the rest is history. So this is what I built with my own two hands. I built the Pokornyi Hyp-R prototype wheel. And the cool thing about it is you can totally customize it to what you want to do. As you'll see when you see the back here, if you look at that 3D printed copper look at the light shine on that beauty right there. Made by Matt at Simulation RS. Link down below, check them out. But again, this is nothing short of amazing. This I absolutely love. It is something that after putting it together for myself, you really appreciate it that much more. And again, just take a look at it and how pretty it is. I got the gold thumb encoders. I've got 10 push buttons, 4 rotary encoders, the 2 thumb, 2 funky switches. I've got 2 paddles, 2 shifters, 2 top paddles, 2 shifters, and clutches. I set mine pretty hard. I left the full spring, and then I've got 2 buttons up here, as well as the GX12 connector there. Yeah, I love this wheel, and I attached my NRG Gen 2 style or Moza QR, whatever you want to call it, all the same. And what I did was, and I hate spacers. If you followed me along, you'd have seen that I had one of the 50mm spacers and then the QR. I hate them with a passion. In order to clear these buttons, to have room, I had to put a spacer on. But this is one I actually had from Turn Racing. Just a little, I don't even know the dimensions of it, but I had it and it was good enough to clear, so this way I could get my QR on without sacrificing too much space with attaching it to my rig. But again, because you're able to do this all yourself, you really get the ability to customize. So one, how strong you want it with magnets. One thing I will tell you, order extra of everything. So a few things, order extra of everything. Be patient, don't be like me and impatient, and then get to the part when you have the final few parts coming in. But for me, I ordered all of the parts because Pokornyi does a great job of not only when you order their DIY kit, they send you every file you're ever going to need. directions on how to assemble it, as well as a bill of materials that you can literally see everything you need depending on what path you take, and then you can see where to order them from. AliExpress, you want a lot of the parts as far as the screws, the nuts, the bolts, the connectors, the cables, all those things that you need for the internals, you order from AliExpress. Most of the things I got on time. Some of them took a while, but que sera, sera. Some of them I still haven't gotten in yet, so I went ahead and looked on Amazon, and you will pay a little bit more, but that's because when you look on Amazon, what I've noticed, AliExpress lets you buy just 50 of something. I need 50 5mm by 10mm flathead hex nuts or screws. You can order just 50 of those for like $1 and change. Cool. So you can order just individual items, whereas on Amazon you're ordering a pack of something. So typically you're not just going to get 10 screws. You can, but you will probably spend more in the long run than just ordering an entire package full of like M5s with M5 4mm, 5mm, 6mm, so you get a whole package of them, because I know I'm going to build some in the future. So, couple things. One, order your supplies, give yourself ample time, or maybe I would say order all the stuff you can from AliExpress first, because it's the cheapest, because it's going to take the longest. So you have plenty of time. 2, measure, cut once, look at the directions. Make sure you read everything. Where wires go, what color should be connected where to attach this thing. I've taken apart this wheel after assembling it at least 5 or 6 more times to resolder, reattach, remove, add on, messed up the first 2 hall sensors. But again, I bought a pack of 10 because things are not very expensive. Of course, when you start adding up all the things, I probably could have built this for like $600. I paid about $7, a little more than $7, just because I ordered extra parts and I wanted to make sure I had plenty to do the job. So for me, it was well worth spending the extra money to get this beauty. I mean, a 5-inch display is just absolutely amazing. And again, all the things on here I'm not going to use, but I wanted to have them all. You don't have to go that route. You can you can say, you know what, I don't need these, I just want these. And you can always go back and get other parts later. You don't have to have everything all at once. I would recommend at least get the shifters and the clutches. But again, you don't have to have everything to make this work. That's the great thing about a DIY wheel. Secondly, tolerances. The tolerances on these are vastly different than something you might buy from a company. They have different tolerances, but you might have to shave things down, as I had to do with the button guides. These covers right here that sit on top, I had to shave out the middle to get the buttons to actually click. And here's how they sound. And I would say they sound quite nice. I'm not even putting it at so you can see it. Sorry about that. I'm trying to look at the screen to make sure I've got it right in front of the camera. So again, they click quite nice. Yeah. Shifters. Doesn't take much force because, again, depending on how strong the magnets you go with. I went with N35s and I stacked them on too high on each, both inside here and on the other side, and it's got a nice click to it and it definitely snaps back quickly. But again, definitely is everything I'd want in a wheel so far. So that's what it looks like at first glance. But let's get it on the rig so you can see how it operates from here and see what the LEDs look like. So check it out on the rig. Hey, what's up guys? So we've got the wheel on the rig. One thing I did want to show you guys first and foremost is the wonderful LEDs and some of the things you can just do with SimHub. I mean, come on, tell me that's not just beautiful in the way it looks there. I appreciate it every time I look at it. Sometimes it's surreal because this is something that I did with my own 2 hands, and I think the level of appreciation is just sky high when you can do these things yourself. So it's always great to be able to customize and add and move and change and do things like that. So let's get the light back on in my house so I can actually see my face. What we're going to do is jump into iRacing and play along with the wheel to let you know how it feels underhand. But again, the button clicks feel great. Like, I really am happy. Like, it's a nice tactile feel. You feel the click, and it has that sound, like you can hear you click. You've got the, again, 2 thumb encoders, that's just awesome, and then the 4 rotary encoders down here, with LEDs behind them, 2 funky switches, and all the paddles and 2 top buttons you could use. I mean, you literally have more than enough inputs to do everything you would need to do on any wheel, let alone this one, especially when you think of the price point. Now that it's all powered up, as you can see, LEDs, and you can change all of these LEDs simply using SimHub. Change whatever colors that you want. I think I'm going to change a few of them at some point, but I like it the way it is. And the cool thing about these wheels is because you're customizing all of it. It's literally, you do what you want to do, whether it be LEDs. You don't have to have LEDs back here. You can put something to cover up the LEDs. I don't know why you would do that, but you could. You can see how I changed, again, mine to a copper look, which I think makes it pop even more. You don't have to. You can do whatever you want. That's completely up to you. So again, another great thing. The grips feel great in hand. For those of you worried about dead skin cells, put on gloves. But gloves, don't wash them for 2 weeks, 3 weeks, and have, like, dead skin cells are going to be either in the glove or on something you can wipe off. You decide. So whenever I hear that, I'm like, oh man, that's such a, it's more of an OCD thing, I think, for people, let alone it's the same thing if you put your hands in gloves. But every input you can think of, the wheel feels sturdy on the, VRS. I can do up to 20 Newton meters. I don't run 20. I don't know how it'll last over time. I couldn't tell you that because I just got it. So I know that's something that people were asking, like, what's it going to look like when you get to year 2? I don't know. I couldn't tell you. But I can tell you this. Because everything in here is customizable, if something does break, you can replace it. So much easier than if I bought, like, my Bavarian Simtech wheel. Not saying they wouldn't fix it, but if something broke, I've got to send it back, pay for shipping, and then vice versa, say 2-3 years down the line. So just a difference. This is cheaper, not clearly the quality of that with, a monocoque frame and the level of detail they went with that. But for the price, I have the GSI X29, I have this. They are the same price. The same price. Granted, that's not an aluminum housing, which I believe Pokornyi is thinking about offering. That would be another option to make it even more sturdy for those of you who are concerned. And I might actually do that if that comes out. I might actually do that. But with that being said, I've got more paddles for the same price. I've got the additional top, 2 clutches. I've also got these 2 buttons here. I've got thumb encoders that have a nice animation to them when you rotate them. I've got a screen. I've got the 4 here as opposed to 3. They do have 2 funky switches. So again, and the stickers, I can actually change them to what I want, unlike the GSI where they come placid on it and there's no way of customizing them. So again, options on either route. So many different wheels you can buy. This one I made with my own 2 hands. There are some imperfections in how I align things here or there, but they're my imperfections, and I'll own that all day, every day. Tolerances, like I said earlier. I do get a little light bleed here. There's a little gap at the corners here, because again, it's drilled here. Probably would have been nice to have a screw here that drills all at the top, like it does at the bottom, because there's nothing pulling it at the tippy top here, as opposed to there's a screw here. So there's one here, but not one at the tippy top. But again, 3D printed, tolerances are going to be off and different for certain things, but to me, I will gladly take it for what I'm getting and for the price. There's some light bleed on the screen, which people have told me about how to fix it. Eventually, I will work on something like that, but not until if they make an aluminum enclosure. I'll want to get that first before I make any other changes. So with that being said, let's just jump on track so you can see how it operates. They're going to use their dash. One of the things you can do is a couple things you have to do when you first get the wheel. One, here's your function button. This is your calibration button. You would hold these two, hold them together, see some lights, calibrate the clutches. You have to do that. There's no software for this. So you would open up like the USB game controller, or they send a link to a joystick controller that you can potentially use depending on what version of Windows you have. So you're going to, these 5 also become part of your calibration. So if you hold this button, these 3 are for dual clutches. You can have up to 3 programmed. So you can have your clutch and bite point. This is for analog mode. This is for button mode. So you would hold this button down here, push for dual clutch, analog, button. Then you would put it into analog first. Then you calibrate your clutches. After you calibrate your clutches, if you hold this button here, then rotate, this is going to show a digital LED display appear. There are 10 LEDs here. So if you hold this button and turn this knob, it's going to adjust your clutch bite point in tens. So 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 60. So if you want it to be 65, this would be tens. This would jump by 2s. This would jump by 1s. Actually, this jumps by 1s. This jumps by tenths. Let me rephrase that. Tens, 1s, tenths. So if you want 65.5, you would simply hold this button, turn it. You'll see 6 here. Turn this, get that to 5, and then turn this to get to the 10th degree. So all these things are provided in the directions. Nothing you have to memorize right now. But again, you can build this wheel between $500 and $700 roughly, depending on how high end you go. You can spend a little more depending on where you order things from. If you know somebody like a guy, maybe like a guy named Matt, maybe at a company like Simulation RS, he can print the enclosures. He can print the LED light guards on the inside. He can print these covers here. So quite a bit. So yeah, definitely have some options. Again, get your custom color enclosure, and we'll talk about a surprise I have for a few lucky ones who may be able to get one of these enclosures for free. So, but let's get on track. Let's see how she drives. Let's turn the car on. All right. See that? Let's put it in a bit. Now, it feels amazing. I'm not gonna lie. Now I had to account for the additional spacer, but with that being said, like, I don't know how to put it into words, just how cool it is to be in a prototype car with a prototype wheel. Like, I don't think you guys understand how cool that is. Like, I would love to get something etched in the glass. Kind of like what it says, like, you know, Cadillac, or, you know, some would say Cosworth. I wouldn't want to get either one of those things that are put on the glass. I'd want to get something like Gray's Dynamics put into the glass. But I can't tell you guys how much I am so glad I built this wheel. I wanted to build it as soon as I saw it, and I pulled the trigger on it immediately. And like I said, because I am smart enough to find a side hustle to pay for this, I was able to pay for this just driving some Uber on the side. And it is completely paid off. Like, I ordered parts. Each time I drove Uber, I went ahead and paid it off. Like, I didn't wait. I paid it off immediately. So, but the grips feel really nice underhand. I don't feel like the wheel is like, you know, some people worried about creaking and bending and, you know, again, I don't really understand when people are bending it like, oh yeah, does it pass the bend test? When are you bending your wheel when you're racing? I hope you're not. And if you are, why? Like, what's the point? I don't get it. But, you know, everybody does their own thing. Oh. But, you know, oh. Again, the buttons are easy to click. So if I wanted to change brake bias, I can easily do that. If I wanted to change ABS, if this car had ABS, I could do that. If it had energy recovery, it does have traction control, I can do that. The encoders aren't as clicky or stiff as I'd potentially like them. I'd much rather have much more clicky rotary encoders. Guys probably wondering like, what the hell are you doing, dude? But yeah, like, you know, flashing my lights, windshield wipers. Oh, that sound. I have Trophy AI. I was like, what is that sound? But it's just tracking when I complete a lap. So if you heard, that's just the software tracks my laps so I can get some coaching. So between VRS, ARA, and Trophy AI through Driver 61, there's so many tools that I have on here. Shouldn't be as slow as I am, but I digress. So yeah, like, I mean, I don't have much that I can say wrong about this wheel, except for, you know, again, make sure, as they say, measure twice, cut once, because this wheel, it's so customizable, and it has all the inputs, it has all the things that you're ever going to need. Like, I have mapped every button I would ever use, and I still have buttons left. Yeah. And if you like prototype racing, and you're thinking about getting a prototype wheel, get this. I can't tell you not to get an X29 or Bavarian Simtech or Balkan Rev 3 or like all of those are sweet wheels. They all have, you know, every wheel has cons to it. I would say that every one of them have far more pros than cons. But it's all just different types. If you like a Mercedes type F1 wheel like I do, then you get the Bavarian Simtech Omega 1 Pro, which I have coming. If you want a prototype wheel, yeah, you can, you know, even Pokornyi, they make their LMP Pro wheel or LMDH, I forget what it's called, but they make a Pro one which is significantly more expensive. It is twice the cost of this, essentially. So, if I were in many people's shoes, I would say, why the hell would you do that? Just get this, build it yourself, build it to your specs, and if you have any bit of ability to customize things, or you know how to make like an aluminum enclosure because you know a guy, or send, cut, send, and stuff like that, like, yeah. But again, I absolutely love every bit of this wheel. And I would tell each and every one of you, spend the money if you can afford it. And again, because you can get it in parts and get it in pieces and slowly build it over time, it's something that you can buy as you have the cash. I've got $50 here, I'm going to order all the screws and all the wires. I've got another $100 here, okay, I'm going to order, you know, I'm going to say, hey Matt, let me get the enclosure. I want it in silver. Like, ooh, that would have been cool too. Ooh, that would be cool. Silver? Yeah, that would pop. You know, or gold. I mean, like, you know, hey man, I want it in blue. Alright, I'm gonna order the bundle with the enclosure, the LED guides. And then I'm going to go ahead and get the fronts to match the same color. Alright, and then I'm going to go through Pokornyi, or I'm going to get the plastic grips instead of a silicone. Now, I don't like wearing gloves, so silicone was the only way I was going to go. But for some others, it could be vastly different. Like I said, everybody has to pick and choose what they want to do. And it's a choice that you'll have to choose on how much money you want to spend. But as you can see, I'm rocking it on the VRS base. I don't notice any noticeable creaking and bending and things like that when I race it. I don't do any bend tests, like I said again, because I think they're counterproductive and pointless. The wheel with my QR is about 1.9 kilograms. So yeah, about 1,900 kilograms. Sorry about that. So yeah, I think it's definitely not a light wheel with the QR on. I mean, probably the lightest wheel I've held in my hand, and that's with the QR on, is the Vulcan Rev 3. But that's 3D printed as well. It doesn't have a screen, but man, that's a super light wheel, and that's a great wheel too. If you're looking for a GT wheel, if you want something that's high class and high end, Varian Simtech, you know, Omega Pro, if you want an F1 wheel. So there's just so many options. But I would tell anybody, if you have the money, go ahead and build one of these. Go ahead and put it together. The Vocore screen is like 50 something bucks. So it's not even that expensive for the screen itself. And just piece it together. You know, maybe take 6 months to get everything, but once you're done, look at the wheel you get in return. So let's go ahead and get out of this sim and kind of talk about one last surprise that I have for you all. And hopefully that surprise will pay dividends for each and every one of you. So let's take a look. Alright guys, so in conclusion, what's my thoughts on the wheel? Buy it. Buy it. If it was a stock, I'd say buy it. If it was a house, I'd say buy it. If it was your favorite meal, I'd say buy it. Buy it. Buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it, buy it. I love it. I have nothing else I could say. Nothing to complain about outside of measure, measure, measure. Read the directions. Look at the colors of the wires. Get the right screws. Order things early in advance. Buy extra. Thank God I bought extra. Because you're going to need it. I guarantee you're going to mess up on something. If you don't, awesome. Great for you. I messed up. And this is my first ever. The second one I build, I'll be even better. The third one I build, I'll be a pro at it. So I'm going to build some more. I'm excited about the future of what Pokornyi is offering. And I think companies that do stuff like this make life awesome. But my guy Matt at Simulation RS, the great guy that it is, and the greatest sponsor I think on the planet, because he's a guy like me who always wants to pay it forward. That's what we're going to do. So I have a bunch of enclosures here. I have, let's get it out. I have black. I have white. This. I have blue and I have green. These are all free to those individuals who are going to be making one of these wheels and want one for themselves. I am more than happy to send it out. He sent them to me to share with the followers. He also will be making these. So if you want to print them up and you want a different color, maybe you want this copper, maybe you want silver, which I think that would look really cool. With some silver here and some silver here. Oh, that would pop. So again, make it how you want it. And because I have a sponsor and because Matt is just so creative and awesome, and he'll do these things and charge a great price and get them to you pronto. Yeah. I mean, you can order it today, in 2 days have it printed and in delivery for you. So, and I have some available, as well as the shields for the buttons. Now these are the LED guides that go on the inside. Mine are white. I've got copper, black, red, and blue. So what we're going to do in partnership, Simulation RS and Gray's Dynamics, again, send these out to you free of charge. It may take a while for me to get them to you just because, again, I've got to send at least 5 people. And depending on where you live, will depend on how much it costs, which means it's going to be a little bit for me to get them all out. But if you want one, leave a comment down below and let me know. If you enjoyed this video or any of my videos, thumbs up, notifications on, and click that subscribe button. I appreciate you being along with me for the ride. Again, I want to say thank you to all of you for coming along for this journey. From the time I had 1 subscriber, now to a little over 1,400. Like, I wouldn't be here without any of you. And of course myself and my lovely wife who just lets me do these things. But again, this is tons of fun. I enjoy doing this. I look forward to doing other things with each and every one of you as far as getting on track, racing together. The Gray's Dynamic Racing League, we're going to do some extra races, probably on Thursdays or something like that. But the wheel is great. The grips, the buttons, all of the options, the clutches, the rotaries, the screen is 5 inches. I can't rave any more about it. I will say, and say it till I'm blue in the face, go out and get one. I have quite a few wheels here that I've purchased with all my own money, and I will say Pokornyi Engineering did a great job, and get it. If you have any questions, leave a comment down below. Let me know what your feedback is. I'm going to try and take the video I made, or the videos of the live build, and condense it into maybe something that's 20 minutes long. Kind of walk you through where I made mistakes and where you shouldn't make them. That may take me a bit to get through all of that content. Or I may just play it on super speed, fast motion and make it a 20-minute clip and go from there. So if you have any questions, again, reach out. Thank you as always, Todd, Matt, Norman, Neil, and Mr. Anderson. All of you are my members and Gray's Racers, and I appreciate you all, as well as everybody else who watches and subscribes. Thank you for joining. Look forward to giving you more content. And again, have a wonderful rest of your day. Peace.